So guys, I've had quite a few requests. Usually it's like the most requested technique for me is the loop choke, and I've never really, I maybe showed it one time in a video somewhere, but this is, I'm gonna start with just, I can do like a whole loop choke series I guess, but this will be just a basic one from closed guard. Now we'll break down a few of the details of the loop choke. Essentially the loop choke is, come on up here this way, is having one arm cross collar, head goes down, using the other arm to kind of snake behind the head and under the forearm to choke. And that's kind of essentially the mechanics of it, okay? Cross collar grip, here, the arm comes in, and the pressure from the forearm, the pull from the collar grip gets the finish. Show you from this side, here again, pressure, and then the finish, okay? So that's kind of the mechanics of the loop choke. Now you can set this thing up from closed guard, top, bottom, half guard, any, mount, a bunch of different positions, but I'll show maybe a basic way to hit it from a closed guard, and then I'll tell you one of the main mistakes that people make when they're going for the loop choke, and they maybe get everything set up, but they can't quite finish it, and I'll show you why that is. So let's get into the basics of in a closed guard, okay? It all starts really with a cross collar grip, and in my opinion, I've done the loop choke for quite a while, so like I kind of have a feel for where the grip should be. But if you go a little bit higher up in the collar and then slide down, that's perfectly okay, because you may feel like you're a little deep, and you can't be too deep because you won't be able to get your arm around. I usually think of my middle knuckle at their collarbone as a good spot, but again, it's going to vary depending on the size of your opponent, your arms, things like that. So if you feel like you're not sure where to start with your hands, go deeper behind the collar, and then you can always let your arm come out as you go for the choke. So the basics are a cross collar grip. We can grab the cross collar, and what I'll do is I'll open up and I'll start to sit up to kind of pressure my opponent, kind of put some pressure into them. Their common reaction is to pressure back in. So as they do, I'm gonna switch my hip. So from the right hip that I'm on right now, I'm gonna switch to the left, pull their head through, and follow with my hand. So my hand kind of snakes through, comes in here. I use my leg to kind of create pressure, and then I perform the submission, okay? It's kind of like a push-pull movement, right? So we're here, get the cross-collar grip. I open my legs, plant them, and I'm gonna kind of sit up. I'm gonna give him a little pressure. His reaction is to pressure back in. So what I do is I don't go back to my right hip. I switch from my right hip to my left. I pull down, flare the elbow. I take my other hand, and I basically guide his head under my arm, and I never lose contact with his head from here. Now the mistake here is people try to finish flat on their back. They can't finish. It's really hard. You can sometimes, very hard to finish. You have to cut the angle. So I don't want to choke Gideon out too much here, so I'm gonna lighten up the pressure, but elbows up, we're following here. We're gonna cut the angle right here. Now from here, we can pinch the knees together so he can't posture up, and now we're pulling, pushing, and applying the pressure. We're basically pulling, pushing, or applying that pressure like so, that we're putting the back of his head pressure into the choke. So here, boom, boom, there, and we're finishing the choke right there, okay? So one more time. Again, we're here, cross collar grip. Again, if you want to go a little higher, you can, that's perfectly fine. But again, the sweet spot for me is usually middle knuckle in that collarbone. So I'm here, boom, open up the legs. I'm gonna give him a little pressure. Gideon's gonna pressure back in. I need to flare my elbow, get to the hip. Now I'm taking his head, guiding it through. I never leave contact. Now I flare my wrist up, putting that pressure, finish the choke. And that's gonna work, guys. The main error that we just talked about, the main mistake is people try to finish from their back and then they can't. So you have to get to your side. You have to cut that angle a little bit and then hit that submission. You can hit this from closed guard, all kinds of different positions as well. So it's one of my favorites. I think I used it at a tournament like 4 or 5 times to finish my opponents with, and it's just one of my, in the gi, it's one of my go-tos for sure, just because it is so threatening and it's so effective and it's so quick. So guys, appreciate y'all checking out the video. Talk to you next time.